I don't think a lot of men understand. I don't think a lot of people understand something about romantic relationships that I learned a little too late, but never, better late than never, right? Join me and my friends today, not my friends, cows that I'm on a bike ride. I don't even know where I am. I'm going to sit over there because I feel like they don't necessarily want to be on camera, but I want to show you guys. Maybe you do, actually. I don't know. You seem very curious. Oh, y'all, look at the name of this. Le Paradise. Should I go there? I think I'm going to sit right here. Anyway, I am riding around the countryside where my husband grew up in this village. And I am just wandering all over to other villages. I have no idea where I am. We'll see if I make it back. Anyway, the thing about marriage and relationships in general, and I think it's also like friendships and kind of most things, but what a lot of men don't seem to realize, because of the way they are conditioned, and what a lot of women don't realize too, because of the way we're conditioned under patriarchy, and just especially if you're in cishet relationships, like heteronormative kind of stuff, is that there's me, there's you, and there's us, and those are three different parts, and all of those deserve an equal amount of work. And I kind of knew this for a while without knowing that's what it was, because I just remembered I didn't date for the longest time. And anybody who's new here, I didn't get into my first real relationship until I was 36, and I don't even that was a nightmare, and I almost died. So that wasn't even love, but that was me trying to date and be in a relationship. And one of the reasons why I didn't date before that, besides just kind of being in this I'm gonna do what I want, and men are gonna slow me down, or they're gonna try to derail my life, or make me go on their journey, their adventure, and I want my own. I don't want to default to them. I don't want to give up anything. So I was just doing my thing. Part of it was also fear of being vulnerable and intimacy and all that other crap too, okay? A lot of reason. And also just inherently seeing and believing that men were not going to make my life any better. They're only going to make it worse, so what's the point? So, but another thing is that I was I'm too messed up. I'm too messed up to date. I had tried to just kind of casually do this or that, and it was always a disaster. And so I don't think that you should just work on yourself forever and ever and ever and ever and never date, unless you don't want to date. But I had this, my best friend Liz at one point was okay, at a certain point you have to at least try a little bit. You think you have to be perfect before you can date. You think you have to be fixed, that you're going to be healed, but you're never healed. A lot of stuff you're actually not going to heal until you're in relation with somebody, because you don't even know you have some healing to do until you're in a relationship, and that person's going to bring all this stuff up. You don't even know a lot of it's there. And so a lot of this is done in a relationship. You have to do a lot of work before and on yourself alone. And so I knew that part, but I didn't believe that I had no idea how much I'm going to learn in relation with somebody. I had no idea how many more issues I had, or how deeper they were, until I was in relation with someone else, like romantic relationships, especially with men, because all of my schmegel trauma and most of my attachment stuff is mostly because of men. Anyway, so I knew that I had to do a lot of work on my own by myself. And so I've always known that that's something I'm always going to have to do, that's just part of the deal, that in order for me to be functioning and not sabotage my life, not go back into self-destructive stuff, to show up in even friendships, show up at my job, show up at any of my, show up in my community, any of my responsibilities, that if I'm not taking care of myself, making sure that I'm not self-destructing and, participating in something that is heading to the addiction highway on real quick. I always knew that working on myself is part of the deal. I've been doing it for decades now. It's just I don't think I'll ever not work on myself, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that I'm also okay how I am. This idea that I'm just going to be magically arrive. I'll never arrive until I die, but I'm also okay now. It's this balance between always trying to learn and grow and be better, but also I'm okay right now too, because I'm way better than I was before. So I always knew working on myself was part of the deal, but I don't think men realize that. I think a lot of men don't realize that working on themselves, and also giving women the time to work on themselves, is an important part of the marriage. They just think they're the king of the castle, that women are supposed to fix them, that women are supposed to fix the relationship. Everything is on women, but they don't even realize that women, like, again, like, it's 3 parts and they're all equal. So if I don't have the time to work on myself, to work on my health, to have hobbies of my own, to have friendships of my own, to have my own community, to have my own things that make me happy, that are outside of this relationship, if I don't have time for that, and part of that is working on myself, whatever that involves, whether it's therapy or this or that or whatever, that we deserve that and we need that in order to show up in a healthy relationship and give to that relationship. We get that. And that they also get that, but it can't just be sport. It can't just be like their very time-consuming, expensive hobbies that they use a lot of times for escapism and to waste the family's money and to get away from the very woman that they hitched their life to and the very children that they helped create. They don't want anything to do with them anymore. I just want my freedom, 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 freedom. As if freedom doesn't involve a lot of responsibility, right? So they have no problem having their own separate life. But a lot of times they give too much time and value to that. And that own separate life also doesn't always involve self-improvement. Like, you can go to the gym all you want, bro. You can eat healthy. You can run your marathons. You can go climbing. You can do whatever it is. Because a lot of men get so into like taking care of themselves, but they're so focused on the physical. And they even make their sports spiritual. Now, I'm not saying that those aren't. Like, I mean, there's so much healing in doing physical things. But like, if you're not really working on this, that's not enough. And so a lot of men will be like, yo, I got my me time. And I get like 50% of my energy goes to me alone time. And then I'll give some to the relationship. And also she doesn't get any of that to work on herself. And then they also, their community building is like based on sports and stuff like that and isn't really based on service, right? Like, it's like more like taking. Or if it's service, a lot of times it's like that search and rescue mentality. Well, I'm the hero. I'm the hero in the community. Everybody loves me. I'll show up and help every woman in the community but my wife. I will show up and like, I'll be a volunteer fireman or, you know, whatever. I will save the day in other people's families, but I'll beat my own kids. You know what I mean? Anyway, working on yourself involves all aspects of it and having your own outside interests and all that stuff. So you have her, and this is just a heterosexual. This could be, again, for everything. This is not just like gendered, but I'm just talking about the dynamics in like heteronormative relationship. And what happens so much in modern and relationships still happening is that the woman is not allotted as much time for her. You know, it's not cut up into 3, us, you, me. It's him. He gets half or 75% all to himself. And then the rest is us, but he ain't even working on that. He wants her. She has to bring up the hard conversation. She has to point out that, hey, we don't have date nights anymore. Hey, we don't, you know, she's the one who has to like caretake the relationship itself. And then there's almost no time reserved for her alone that doesn't involve also taking care of his children or something. Or it's at home or whatever. So it's funny because when I first got married, I was like, oh wait, I actually have to like sacrifice some of my like friend time to hang out with my husband and work on like do date nights and stuff. Not that I didn't want to, but I was like, oh right, I can't just go on like solo trips all the time. I can't go on girls trips all the time. I should go on solo trips. I should go on girls trips. But I was like I wanted to take like a week-long girls trip like a week after we got married. Even though I really couldn't afford both. And he was like, I don't know, that seems like, babe, we're planning a wedding in 6 weeks. Like, we just moved into a new flat. Like, we have so much going on. Can you really go on this trip? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess like I have to change a little bit. Because I was so used to not centering men and doing what I want and not having to compromise that I've actually went so far in the other extreme. I'm like, oh right, I have to like compromise. I have to like sometimes run stuff by someone else. When before I was like, I'm going to move to Spain. And I moved to Spain and start teaching English. And I don't have to ask anyone what they think about that. Because it doesn't impact anyone directly other than me. Indirectly, sure. So what I have learned, and I've learned this from other couples, I've learned this even from my therapist, you know, he reinforces this all the time. My EMDR guy, he's awesome. Very few men I actually will trust my care with, but this guy has really helped me see a lot of stuff. He emphasizes this part a lot. There's you, and there's y'all, right? He didn't say y'all because he's But you know what I mean? And so if I am showing up too much for myself, if I'm not showing up for us, because I'm hyper focused on me, I got to take care of myself, but never make time to nurture the relationship, things are going to be up. Or if I'm not taking care of myself, one of the reasons why I started doing the EMDR stuff and went back into therapy, like hardcore therapy, is because being in a safe, healthy relationship is the first time that some of this deep stuff felt safe enough to come up. So much of my trauma from childhood, and then of course also the trauma from that domestic violence thing with that little hobo, sexual, road to Wales, whatever. A lot of that has come up. It gets triggered because if he does anything at all that reminds me of something in the past, I'm like, ah! Or if he does anything that reminds me of my dad, if he reminds me of literally anything, I'm going to project. And I was like, oh, right, okay, I forgot. My ex used to make me eat elk soup. So if Anthony makes something and is like this happened, he was like, hey, you want some of this? And I was like, no. And he's like, come on, babe, try. I can be very picky and stubborn when it comes to food. And I was like, I don't really want to, though. And he's like, and he had worked hard on making this, and he was like, come on. And I was like, ah! And I freaked out on him. He's like, whoa, okay, it's okay. So that's just an example. And so one of the things I realized is that I don't mind suffering. I feel like I have a high tolerance of suffering. So I can deal with having this PTSD stuff coming up all the time, being all the time. However, there's two parts of this equation I'm failing myself. Now, if it's just me suffering the consequences alone by myself, well, I can go pretty far down before I can hit a bottom with whatever painful behavior I'm doing or any painful stuff is happening. I can endure a lot. But actually, what's been really helpful is I can endure it, but I don't want to make him have to endure it. You know what I mean? And when I realized that all of me being triggered all the time by this stuff and not knowing what to do with it, not knowing how to regulate my nervous system, not knowing what it's about, not knowing, I started doing parts work, like the IFS stuff. Before I started doing that, I was like, what is happening? I feel like I have 5 different voices in my head and they're all conflicting. Realizing it was impacting someone else and us made me show up for myself faster than I would if it was just me. And so I expect that from him too. That's part of the deal. It doesn't mean that one of us doesn't kind of go through it and isn't allowed to have a hard time. It's not like, oh, you got to fix yourself immediately for this sake. It's not like that's what I'm talking about. But when I realized that me struggling gets to a certain point where it is impacting our relationship so much, and this other person directly who lives in the home with me and sees it every day and worries about me because I'm, really struggling with nightmares and all this stuff, like what started happening a couple years ago. It is on me to show up for myself and take care of that third to serve the other, right? Because I don't want to lose my relationship and I also don't want to suffer. So it's win-win, And he understands that when he's going through it at a certain point, if it's impacting me too much, he better get moving. And a lot of men won't do that. That I have a problem with. Or they're so in their stuff, their problems or their escapism takes up so much space and creates so much extra labor for her that she doesn't even get to work on her stuff because she's just treading water to stay alive because he's always gone and she's taking care of the kids and she's taking care of this and she's paying the bills and it's another child. And so one of the reasons why I didn't even know what I was doing when I wrote it. I understood the need for this article, but when I wrote the one, Men Have No Friends and Women Bear the Burden, that one for Harper's Bazaar that went viral, I didn't even realize, every year after I write that, I was like, dang, I didn't even know how important that was or how much it would still continue to impact my personal life, because the point of that was that a lot of men, they were spending time outside the home, maybe at work or doing hobbies and stuff. I hope y'all can hear me. But they weren't cultivating deep relationships with anyone else, especially with other men, and the women were bearing the burden of that, being their only friend. And it's exhausting to be friends with someone who doesn't have anyone but you. It's not healthy. And it's also exhausting when one person is doing so terribly that you don't have the time or the energy to go have a social life because this king baby is just too much. Got nothing left. So anyway, whenever I see women who are like, don't want their husbands having friends, I understand that men will literally run away and spend a lot of time outside the house and do a bunch of crap that's really expensive. And this is not what I'm talking about. But when I see women who are like, want to do everything with their husbands or with their boyfriends or whatever, and they don't spend time with their own friends alone, or they bring men to girls' night, or they get jealous if their boyfriends or husbands or whatever go out and spend time with the guys. Now, again, I understand if they're up to no good and wasting money and being reckless, that's different. But like literally just, cultivating relationships with other people, and they're like mad about that or jealous about it like that. That no relationship is supposed to have that much pressure. That is too much pressure. It's too much time alone together. And the third part, the we, is too big. And if y'all break up, you're screwed. So anyway, that's what I'm trying to work on, is this balance between me and then nurturing me and all the things I need to take care of myself, because if I'm not doing that, I am screwing him over too, not just me. And this is one of the things, I swear, and I've said this before, if you're a man and you follow me and you haven't been muted or blocked, you're probably not up to a bunch of nonsense. Thank you. But if you take nothing else from me, the best way you can show up for women in general is to not create more labor for them by working on yourself. You have to work on yourself. You have to take care of yourself. If you're not doing it, you're expecting her to do it for you. You're expecting her to do that part that is literally your job and your job alone. And it's not just going to the gym. It is all of the things, including hit this. You got to work on this. And it's not her job to work on this. She's not your therapist. Go pay one. You will spend hundreds of dollars on a new game, but not something that will literally make you happier and change your life and prevent a divorce or whatever. So we all lose under this system of like, women are just here to serve men. They don't work on themselves. They actually end up resenting us and hating us for doing too much, even though they expect us to. But I'm telling you, you do too much when you sacrifice yourself for men so they can just do whatever they want. They not only don't respect you, they actually don't like you. They like you less. The more you do in terms of self-sacrifice and overdoing, the less they like you. Because they're like, why is this person doing all this stuff? Why doesn't she have a friend? Why isn't she doing stuff? Why is she letting me be this way? Doesn't mean they're going to like them being like feeling guilty about letting you do too much is going to stop them from just exploiting and let you do too much. But you have to serve yourself. You have to feed into yourself. You have to. That is an essential part of the relationship. And he has to. And if he's not, well, it probably won't work out. Hope he learns before it's too late. Anyway, I don't know if this made any sense. I was just thinking this while I was riding my bike. And I thought I would pull over next to some cows and give y'all a nice little backdrop while I talk about random relationship stuff. Anyway, follow my Patreon. I've got a live coming up on Wednesday with Cecilia Regina. And you get notifications of what I'm doing over there. And I post stuff like this, beautiful, random travel crap, personal stories, all kinds of stuff. If you can't afford any of the tiers, just at least you will be informed of what all I'm doing, and just keep up with me over there in case the algorithm makes me go bye-bye. Anyway, let me know if you heard the comment song. You're the best around. The comment song is going this today. You're the best around. The comment song is on a bike ride through Anthony's village. Look at all these cows, chickens. Look at that comment song. Comment. Oh, horses. Look at that. Oh my God. I had no idea where I was going with this song when I started. There's the ladies. Look at them. Meow, 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 meow. You're the best. She's taking a piss. Almost gets it all over the other cow. La 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 la. Comments. Oh my God. I'm being silly because I can. And it's the comment song. Look at all this. Hey. Comment song. Comment song. Are you done writing your comment yet? You probably can't. Because I'm showing you really pretty stuff. Maybe I should stop doing this because the comment song is out of hand. Okay, 3, 2, 1. The Comon song is ending soon. My voice is so bad, but it's okay. Cause it's a Comon song. Okay, I'm done. Et voila. Let me know if you heard this.